Firearms are considered a fundamental part of American history and culture. In this incredibly diverse nation, the love of weapons runs so deep that the number of civilian-owned guns has now reached 393 million, 20% more than the country's entire population. This shouldn't come as a surprise, because if you look back to the late 19th century, as the nation grew increasingly aggressive, America became the fertile ground where the global firearms industry truly blossomed. And as technology continued to advance, the United States kept producing newer, deadlier weapons, while thousands of gun models that couldn't keep up with the march of progress were left behind, some before their journey even really began. But among them, there are firearms that continue to see action in conflicts around the world, even though they first appeared over a century ago. Which of these old warriors were lucky enough to remain so beloved by the US military? All will be revealed in today's journey through history. If the legendary American General George S. Patton called the M1 Garand the greatest battle implement ever devised during World War II, then the M14 is the most successful rifle in all of American history. This legendary rifle has been in production since 1959, and remarkably, despite nearly 60 years of technological change, the M14 is still in active service to this day. The only thing they've really updated is swapping the wooden furniture for synthetic materials. Everything else, the core stuff like the firing mechanism and the caliber, remains unchanged. Between 1959 and 1964, a total of 1.3 million M14 rifles of the original pattern were produced. This was the primary weapon used by American infantry during the early stages of the Vietnam War. While it was a solid rifle, it just wasn't a good fit for the Vietnamese battlefield. It was too heavy, too long, and the wooden components warped badly in the hot, humid climate. Eventually, the US military upgraded and modernized the weapon into a new variant called the Mk14 EBR. Compared to the original M14 from the 60s, the Mk14 has an identical firing mechanism, but is built from completely different materials. Specifically, it uses significantly more metal and polymer components in place of the old wooden parts. Picatinny rails were also added so soldiers can freely attach accessories to the weapon. The stock is adjustable in length to fit different shooters' builds. With a precision range of up to 800 meters when fitted with an optic, the Mk14 has earned a solid place in the world of designated marksman rifles. It's incredibly effective, especially in urban combat environments where engagement distances rarely exceed 1,000 meters due to buildings and structures blocking the line of sight. Compared to standard assault rifles currently in service, the Mk14 uses a larger caliber round with greater stopping power. It can be used as a marksman rifle, yet the soldier doesn't need to go through any specialized sniper training. Those are precisely the reasons why this 62-year-old rifle still holds a firm place in the US military's personal weapons inventory. In 1964, as the South Vietnamese government and military grew increasingly weak and faced the risk of collapse, despite massive American support, and especially as the National Liberation Front of South Vietnam received comprehensive backing from allied socialist nations, the United States was forced to send its own expeditionary forces directly to Vietnam. They brought dozens of types of military vehicles and weapons to this S-shaped land, determined to fight to the bitter end. And one of the most famous weapons that followed American troops into the Indochina theater was the M60 machine gun, first introduced 64 years ago. During the fiery days of the Vietnam War, the M60 proved to be a highly effective weapon, well suited to the brutal weather conditions of a country where mud was practically a national feature. Any weapon fighting in Vietnam's wet, mountainous jungle environment without proper logistics support was bound to suffer performance issues. But at least the M60 wasn't as failure-prone as the M16. The M60 machine gun uses a gas-operated system, belt-fed ammunition, air cooling, and has a single firing mode, fully automatic. This weapon also features a quick-change barrel to extend its service life when overheated. To maintain stability during firing, the M60 is also equipped with a bipod, or a tripod. With these features and its high reliability, this weapon has earned the unwavering trust of American soldiers from 1957 all the way to the present day. The M60 is famous, but when it comes to machine guns, there's one that's even more legendary. With an incredible 88 years of combat experience, the M2 Browning has become an absolute monument in the world of machine guns. This is a versatile heavy machine gun that serves in multiple roles across every branch of the U.S. military, Navy, Army, and even the Air Force. The development history of the M2 dates back over a century, when designer John Browning began working on a heavy machine gun for the United States military in 1918. After the creator of this legendary weapon passed away in 1926, a new version designated the M2HB, chambered in 12.7 by 99 millimeters, was introduced. The gun no longer used a water jacket for cooling like the older version, but instead featured a thicker, heavier barrel cooled by air. It was later further upgraded with a quick change barrel system, or QCB. Compared to its Soviet counterpart, the Dishka heavy machine gun, the M2HB has several advantages. Faster target acquisition thanks to its aperture sight design, lighter overall weight, and despite having a smaller propellant charge, its trajectory flatness is on par with the Dishka. Thanks to its short recoil operating mechanism, it produces less felt recoil. The M2's disintegrating link belt also eliminates the belt jamming issues commonly seen with the Dishka, and what soldiers appreciate most of all? The M2 is a lot easier on the ears. That said, compared to the Dishka, the M2 does have some drawbacks that can't really be fixed. If you're going to use this weapon, you definitely need to keep these in mind. The M2 is made up of many small precision parts, making it harder to maintain than the Dishka. It demands extremely high standards when it comes to technical upkeep. And don't ever just toss it around carelessly, because the M2 is also known to malfunction when exposed to dirt and grime. This old warrior has been serving in the U.S. military since 1933, and Washington still shows no signs of retiring it. John Browning truly gifted America's defense industry a masterpiece that has left other nations both terrified and in awe. But human ingenuity knows no bounds. 102 years ago, the same man also created a weapon that the military still loves to this day. And the name I'm talking about is the Browning M1919. This is a machine gun chambered in 7.62 by 63 millimeters, used by numerous countries throughout the 20th century. The reason the M1919 became such a widely used weapon around the world is that ever since entering service in 1919, it has filled multiple battlefield roles, serving as an infantry weapon, a vehicle-mounted gun, and even an anti-aircraft gun. Let's take a look at the screen together to run through the basic specs of this legendary firearm. The M1919 weighs approximately 14 kilograms without the ammo box. It measures 964 millimeters in length for the M1919A4 variant, and 1,346 millimeters for the M1919A6. It can wipe out every target within a 1,000-meter radius, with a maximum range of 1,400 meters, at a rate of fire between 400 and 600 rounds per minute. During World War II, the M1919 was used by the United States, Britain, Free France, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the Republic of China. Across every theater of war, from Europe to the Asia-Pacific, the Soviet Union also received 3,000 units through the Lend-Lease program. They were primarily mounted on American-supplied tanks and half-tracks used by the Red Army, such as the M3 Stuart and M3 half-track. Today, the M1919 is still used in significant numbers in places like Libya, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and even in Vietnam. That covers machine guns and rifles. So in today's list, is there a spot reserved for pistols? The answer is yes. During the period from 1899 to 1902, the United States fought a war in the Philippines, and the American military realized that the Colt M1892 revolver, with its 38 long Colt round, simply didn't have enough stopping power to drop an enemy at close range with a single shot. That's exactly why the US military began searching for a new sidearm with a more powerful round and faster reloading. That's when the semi-automatic Colt M1911, chambered in 45 ACP and fed by a detachable magazine, became the perfect replacement. True to its name, this pistol officially entered service in 1911. That's 110 years ago. It was designed to use a single-action mechanism, meaning the hammer has to be cocked for the first shot, either manually or by racking the slide. The effective range of this pistol is 62 meters, 10 meters farther than most modern handguns in the world. Its accuracy? Nothing to complain about. However, due to its large caliber, combined with a single-stack magazine, the Colt 45 only holds 7 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, but the kinetic energy it delivers can neutralize a man weighing over 70 kilograms with a single shot. The pistol itself has an incredibly simple design. It requires minimal cleaning, runs reliably in harsh conditions, and has practically no learning curve. Following the US military around the globe, this handgun has seen action in virtually every conflict in the world since the day it was born. So it's no surprise that the M1911 has become a true icon of American culture. And there's not a single gamer out there who doesn't recognize this legendary pistol, since it shows up in nearly every video game set during World War I and World War II. So do the M1911 stats in video games. Differ much from the real thing? If you know, don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, back to the story. On November 17, 1915, Smedley Butler and a group of U.S. Marines approached Fort Riviere, an old French military outpost in Haiti that had been seized by Caco rebels. Sergeant Major Butler and his teammates were tasked with wiping out these forces. The assault caught the Cacos completely off guard, because this was a fight where their side only had machetes, while the Americans were carrying a rifle known as the Terror of the battlefield. The rebels' desperate counterattacks were pushed back again and again. Even when they ran out of ammo, the Marines kept fighting hand-to-hand with fixed bayonets, clearing a path for their teammates to push through. The gap in firepower was just too massive. The assault ended swiftly with every single Caco rebel eliminated, and the rifle the Americans used in that attack, the Springfield 1903, had just begun. Its legendary run, starting 118 years ago. In 1900, the United States tested the first prototype of this rifle at a facility in Massachusetts. The test results were so impressive that on June 19, 1903, it was adopted as the standard U.S. rifle model 1903, chambered in .30 caliber. However, it's more commonly known as the 03 Springfield. In its very first year alone, 30,000 of these new rifles were produced. The 7.62 by 63 millimeter round transformed the 03 Springfield into a world-class battle rifle, standing toe-to-toe with every competitor. Remarkably, to this day, this caliber is still trusted and used by the U.S. military thanks to its proven performance. During the Philippine insurrection, the new rifle replaced the aging Krag Jorgensen and earlier Springfield models. From its very first taste of combat, the 03 Springfield quickly earned the trust of soldiers thanks to its firepower and rapid reloading capability. However, as progress marched on, the military was eventually forced to find a successor, and the chosen one was the M1 Garand. But fate smiled on the Springfield. The Great Depression left the U.S. government without enough funds to make the M1 the standard issue weapon for the entire military. It was World War II, however, that finally tolled the bell for this legendary rifle. Once America entered the war, the M1 Garand went into mass production and was quickly embraced by troops. Though overshadowed by its successor, the Springfield continued to see action, simply because in those early months, M1 production couldn't keep up with demand. Many soldiers across different fronts were still fighting with the 03 Springfield in their hands. To keep the Springfield in service, after a few modifications, the U.S. military introduced the M1903A3 Springfield and continued producing it in large quantities. They even took advantage of the surplus of older rifles sitting in warehouses by freely distributing them to Allied forces. Another famous role this legend played during the war was as a sniper rifle. With just a few minor tweaks and an optical scope, the M1903A4 variant became an absolute terror on the battlefield. When World War II ended, the Springfield's era had essentially come to a close. Though rarely used, the military continued printing technical manuals for the M1903A4 all the way until 1970. That means the Springfield served 3 generations of American soldiers across the first 7 decades of the 20th century, longer than any other rifle in the world. Today, you can still see it in military parades and ceremonial duties. And so, the Springfield rifle lived a full and glorious life, fully deserving the title of the oldest American firearm still in use to this day. We've just taken a look at 6 legendary old warriors with the longest service lives in the history of American firearms. Which one is your favorite? Don't hesitate to share interesting facts about them with everyone by leaving a comment down below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss any of our exciting journeys. And now, on behalf of the team, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.